let's move on to the captains and the vice captain loops, I guess, options for this week.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, Captain!
I can see 3 maybe viable or maybe 2 decent VC loop options this week. 1 questionable one, and not really many others. I guess the 2 standouts for me are Latrell and Turbo. So Latrell against the Bulldogs, Turbo against the Dragons. That obviously being in the same position. And then obviously with Tedesco being in the form that he's been in, he becomes, I guess, an option to look at in the first game of the week against the Panthers, but not ideal. That's not my preference. What are your thoughts on this one, Matty, before we throw to Josh? Because, I mean, Latrell, for me, his last 3 against the Bulldogs, being 146, 136 and 74, all at Accor Stadium, is a big kind of standout for me.
Yeah, look, that's huge. I only have one of these 3 players, so I already know my answer, but I think that if I had to choose out of these 3 players, it probably would be... No, it's not going to be Trell even then. I just hate the Bulldogs. Turbo. But yeah, no, it's still going to be Turbo. Turbo's the only guy that I've got out of these 3 guys, and it's going to be Turbo for me. The Dragons haven't impressed. I know they had that one good game, and they had a good 15 minutes on the weekend. But Turbo will be able to rip these guys to shreds, I think. I really struggle with captaining anyone against the Panthers. I don't think I've ever done it, and I don't think I ever will. And yeah, look, I didn't bring Latrell in because I've struggled with him this year, but the stats tell me that Latrell versus the Bulldogs should score very well.
A fair bit of chat in the comments about Val Holmes potentially being a VC option as well this week. Josh, I know you've had to dig very deep into the archives to find the last game that Turbo played against the Dragons.
Mate, it took me a good half an hour. I'm sitting there scrolling through like the last 5 years, and I'm like, where is this? But his last game was over 1,700 days ago, and in that game did what Turbo does best, got 167. But yeah, 1,749 days since Tom Trbojevic took on the Dragons, which was round 14, 2019. He finished on 167 points as Manly ran out 30-14 winners. Dragons have been okay defending fullbacks this year. I think they rank at 8th. But it's Turbo. Like, it's hard to use average scores when you talk about Walsh, Turbo, Trell, Teddy, like these elite guys, because they're just not average. Like, they're just so much better. So yeah, I mean, that's great. In 2023, the Dragons ranked 5th for fullbacks. And we don't have a huge sample size this year, but they did concede 105 to Drinkwater and 94 to Hamiso. I'm not going to count round 1 because they pitched a shutout, and I just don't see that happening against Manly. Trell against the Bulldogs, as you said, 146, 136, 74. There's points in this. The last 3 games the Dogs have played against, what are they called? The Bunnies. 32-36, that was with no Trell. They went down, but still put up 32 points with no Trell. The infamous 50-16 game where the Bunnies thump them. And then 28-36. So there's points in this. There is definitely points in this game. So it's really hard to pass up Trell. He has the goal kicking. In saying that, though, the Dogs just pitched a shutout. So it's like, what do we do? And then obviously, yeah, Teddy versus the Panthers. It's just I can't take any game of Teddy. But moving into captains, I've got a couple. They got no forwards, which is really hard for me to tip Hines. But last year, around 27, scored 127 points against the Raiders. That was with Braden Trindle. So the points are there, but there's no middles. And the last time he played the Raiders was a 72-pointer affair in round 1 of 2022. Worth noting, that was his very first game at 7 at the Sharks. So the main one there is 127 points in round 27 last year, and that was with Trindle in the side. We have to dive very deep here, boys. I've gone back to 2016 to get these stats. RTS at fullback versus Newcastle. 83 points at Central Coast, 123 in New Zealand. A couple of 40s dished up at McDonald Jones, a 50 dished up at Mount Smart, a 90 at Mount Smart, a couple of 70s at Mount Smart, and then a 60 at McDonald Jones. But I think he's a much better player now. I think the Warriors are a much better team. It's very hard to use those Warrior stats because they were not a good side. But he's gone 100 plus before in New Zealand, and I think he's a better player now.
Did RTS play fullback at the Roosters when he was there, or was he primarily on the wing?
I stopped looking past 2015. I was done.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we have to look back like 8 years, if we have to look back 8 years, it's probably not too relevant.
NRL SC Stats stops giving you player profiles past 2016.
Yeah. Some feedback for them. We need archives. We need 2012. We need 2005 stats, grand final 2005 stats, and we're sweet.
I think there's a park in Sydney where somebody engraved RTS's scores under a bridge somewhere.
Mattrix, I'll throw to you because you've got an interesting captain's choice that could be a pretty risky one, but obviously the matchup is there, and I might be bringing this guy in as well.
Yeah, I don't know how risky it is.
Very.
Look, the Dolphins haven't been great this year. I just think when I've watched the Titans play, I don't know if I've ever seen a worse football team than them at the moment. And
I
they've
don't
just
know,
lost.
man. There was some pretty crappy Knights teams in like 2012, and the Titans. Remember the Titans went through that spell of like 20. It was like the Jai Arrow season. It was like 2016 to 2018 where the Titans were dreadful.
Yeah, I mean, like, take Tino out of, like, they've been awful, and then take Tino out of them. I don't know. I just think their outside backs are going to have an absolute clinic against them.
Does it change
well
if Feeder's named? Do you get cold feet if David Feeder's named, or does it change anything for you?
Not for Hammer, no.
I just thought I'd ask.
I'm talking about Captain Hammer, of course. Yeah, Sloan put 100 on the Titans, and like Sloan's a similar player to Hammer, I think. And even Blake Taft scored 64 against the Titans this year. I don't know. It's more
with Hammer
betting on the Titans being bad than the Dolphins being good.
The only reason I struggle with Hammer is because of how low the floor is, but also how shit the ceiling is. It's not like he has 180 in him, but he's also got 20 where you'd risk it. It's like if Hammer goes terrible, he gets a 15. If Hammer goes amazing, he gets 110, 120.
Yeah.
That's my only concern with him.
I haven't captained anyone that scored about a 60 yet.
Leave Henry, lock it in.
Yeah,
I got my first captaincy score over 50 last week, so I'm on the rise. Let's hope that somebody can beat that for me.
Braino, Cade Burgess. He's done some digging. RTS scored 119 in 2015 against the Knights as the Roosters fullback.
There we go. This is
why. What a champion.
We love that.
If Cade doesn't have an Insight Unlimited subscription, I'm gonna make sure you have one after that. So, what a champion for getting that data.
Elite stats.
Shoot us the message.
I currently have my VC on Latrell and my C on RTS at this point in time, and I tell you what, that has very much helped my feeling about having captain on RTS this week.
Yeah, I've gone VC Trell into C RTS as well. Just there's no captains. I mean, I am looking at Hines, but it's like I wish they had their forward pack because I don't know if I can trust Billy Burns. Just to lay a platform.
I like Billy Burns. I rate Billy.
Yeah, that's some serious shade at Billy Burns there. Poor Billy Burns.
No,
what's he done to you?
Yeah,
rough.
I tell you what, Albert Hopewadi got some Billy Burns this week. So
could Garrick be a sleeper captain? Absolutely. Garrick versus the Dragons could be lock and load as well. If you don't own Turbo, I don't mind getting a piece of the Garrick pie.